The Fan.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Number 29.
I'm going to perform oral sex on you.
Yeah, I play a little bit, you know.
It's Bob here. I got a question.
I'm like a dog in heat, a freak without warning. I have an appetite for sex because me's so horny.
Fondling himself.
Welcome back to Fan Outdoors.
Dildos are not essential items.
Here's the captain, Billy Hildebrand.
Listen up, the ratings just came in for last month. We are number one. We just grabbed every key demographic. Super duper, gang. Yeah. Super duper. That's nice. Way to go. Neato, gang. Yes. Boy, that is good news.
People who pay for inexpensive items with a credit card. You know, folks, take my word for this. Raisinets is not a major purchase. Get some cash together. No one should be paying a bank 18% interest on Tic Tacs. And you're holding up the line, too. Some dork with a fanny pack waiting to be approved for a bag of cheese doodles. Get some money. Next guy ahead of me online pays for Newsweek with a credit card is getting stabbed in the eyes. White guys who shave their heads completely bald. You know? They're so ashamed they lost 11 hairs, they're going to try to turn it into some kind of a masculine statement. I say, hey, you goofy-looking, baldy-headed looks good on black guys. On you, it's ugly, repulsive, and disgusting. You want to be bald? Do what I did. Wait a while.
What's up? Fresh is our turn, baby.
You know, Sauce, our guy, George Carlin, is right about almost everything, right? He sees almost everything coming.
Yes, correct.
He has takes from 20, 30, 40 years ago that you look back and you go, man, he just saw where this whole world was going way before the rest of us. But dead wrong about credit cards.
Yeah.
Right now, it's the exact opposite. If somebody in front of me has cash, it's like, what are you doing? You're holding up the line.
Yeah, you goofy looking.
And he's right. I don't want to pay 18% interest on Tic Tacs, but pay your bills then.
Yeah.
Right? Don't charge things that you can't afford. And I know a lot of people do. That's why the whole country is riddled with credit card debt. But if you can afford to swipe the card, it is so much faster.
Yeah.
Right? And again, back in his day when he was talking about things like that, you did have to wait a while for it to process. There was a longer process to go through a credit card transaction. Now you just tap the screen and you're out the door.
And you move on. Yeah.
So, yeah, dead wrong about credit cards, right about everything else. That guy just saw it clearly. He really, really saw it clearly way before everybody else.
His bid on germs from like 25 years ago was spot on. His bid about the planet from like, I think that was jamming in New York in the early 90s. That's spot on. That one bid he opened up with for like 9 minutes.
About abortion.
Yeah, that's pretty spot on.
Sure.
I mean,
yeah. He's the GOAT.
Yeah,
he is the best of all time.
Yeah, and he opened with that.
Man. I don't know.
You can't say it on the air, but his one opening line where he talks about a weather vane and why it's a rooster, it's genius. He's the best. He was right, yeah.
I'm Max.
Hey, what's up, Corey?
That's
hey,
Max. There's a Sauce. I'm Corey. This is the Power Trip Morning Show. Mom's not here, so we can play good music.
That's how we're playing Still Fly by the Big Timers.
Zach is out the next couple of days, so it's the three of us, but Johnny Bonus will be here pretty quickly.
Yeah, man.
Marty Gellner's going to be here at 7.
Hey.
Mark Rosen will be here later, so we got a jam-packed show, just not Mom or Zach. And who cares? Because we have our Timberwolves.
Oh, man.
Yes, sir. Do you remember, and I think you even brought this up yesterday, Max. Last year, all this team did was blow leads to bad teams.
Bad teams.
And you're like, what? You had a 14-point lead against the A-holes, and you lost it.
Don't lose to the A-hole.
And now,
can't lose to the A-hole.
And now they come storming back and win last night. They were down 17 to the Heat. And now that was their NBA league leading 7th win already this season while trailing by 10 points or more. So 7 of their 20 wins have been from down 10. And it was 17 last night against a full Heat squad. Butler didn't do the Butler thing where he says, I'm not playing against the Wolves. He didn't do that.
Yeah.
No, again, he mostly does that here. But he played. They had Tyler Hero back for the first time in 15 years. Bam Adebayo was back as well. I think he missed like 7 games.
Yep.
So they had a full squad and a big lead, and the Wolves shut them down in the second half, just 42 second half points. They come back and they win by 4, and they remain tied with the Boston Celtics for the best record in the NBA.
It's kind of become a bad habit for them over the last couple weeks to just make these comebacks. It's really weird to see this Timberwolves team and think they're not all the way out of it. No matter, even when they're down 17, you think, okay, all they got to do is just, buckle down and then they can come back. And that's exactly what they did. Anthony Edwards played like someone told him he'd have to take care of that baby if the Timberwolves lost. And
he needs to get more chicks pregnant if he's going to put up 32 every time he feels public pressure to apologize.
Yeah. Anybody else out there got some Anthony Edwards tea? Please spill it because
man,
he was playing with his head on fire last night, man. Mike Conley was great, and I mean Anthony Edwards too, not just scoring, he's seeing the court so well this season. He's really, Mike Conley is our point guard, but
he's changed the whole team.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Anthony Edwards, he gets the ball moving. He's the engine that drives the Timberwolves. But I will say they, aside from their slow starts, they still, again, I keep saying it and I'm going to keep saying it, they have a problem guarding guards. They keep getting eaten alive by, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, De'Aaron Fox, and now Tyler Hero dropped 25 last night. So they gotta get their ass together when it comes to playing defense, because their defense has not been as good as it has been at the beginning of the season as of late.
So let's go all the way back to about a month ago. We looked it up on DraftKings. The Wolves were 60-1 to win the title. Ridiculous. And we all said that's just not accurate. That
makes no sense.
Right. It should be more like 30-1. And then we looked at some of the teams in front of them, and we're like, maybe it should be even better than that because some of these teams are garbage. Well, so then the NBA bettors woke up a little bit, right, and said, wow, this is a pretty good value at 60-1. And within a couple of days, it had dropped to 50-1. Then it had dropped to 30-1. Do you know what they're at now? Tied for the best record in the NBA at 20-5.
18-1.
I'll say 20-1.
Just for perspective, the Celtics are 3.5-1, and the Bucks are 4-1. So the Wolves are?
They have the same record as
10-1.
10-1?
15-1.
They're still 25-1.
What?
And they are tied for the 8th best odds to win the title. It goes like this on DraftKings. The Celtics at plus 360, the Bucks at plus 400, Nuggets at plus 425.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And all three of those teams deserve to be, I would still argue, ahead of the Wolves. Because they have equity, they've been there, they've done it. We've proven nothing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with those three being where they are ahead of the Wolves in terms of probability and odds. The Phoenix Suns at 8-1. Again, when they're healthy, they're going to be very tough to beat.
But when are they healthy? I think their big three has only played together once, twice.
Yeah, and they're currently 10th in the West.
Yeah.
The Sixers are 11-1, and that is the opponent of the Wolves tomorrow. The Wolves are at Philadelphia tomorrow. The Clippers are all of a sudden red hot. They look like they had no chance of winning this title a couple of weeks. 0. Yeah. And now they have it figured out, and they're just drilling threes. They're 14-1. Your NBA Cup in-season tournament champion Lakers are 16-1.
They're the 8th seed, by the way.
Yeah, the 8th seed.
They would be in a play-in game now.
They've lost 2 straight.
And then the 25-1 Timberwolves are tied with the Dallas Mavericks at 25-1.
Yeah, I watched. So I watch a lot of it. Like when football's on, I mostly watch football, but I'll flip back and forth, right? And you watched that game last night. They get down. They look sluggish. They just look like a team that, you're just waiting because it's Minnesota. Because it's Minnesota sports, you're waiting for the bottom to fall out. And I know that's like a fatalistic attitude, but like, you haven't been, I've been a Minnesota sports fan for 40 years. Like,
oh, sick brag.
They have so many, well, I'm just doing what a fan line caller would do.
Right out of the chute?
Yep. Right.
Right after your mom's Vietnam, you were a Minnesota sports fan?
Okay, maybe 35 years. 35
When
years.
did you start watching sports, honestly? Do you
Probably
remember?
when I was, I went to...
Was it the 87 Twins
I don't
run?
remember I was 5.
Yeah, I was 7 and I don't remember.
Yeah.
I remember us winning it, but I don't remember watching a second.
So 91.
91 was my first sports memory as well.
Years, let's say. Because I was doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But my whole point is like, you're just waiting for this to fall out. You're waiting for like something to happen where Rudy
and it still might.
It still might.
It's Minnesota sports.
But you watch
We're going to have three of these a-holes tear their Achilles and go Kirk on it and just disappear for the rest of the season.
Or have someone punch a wall again.
Yeah, but you watch him last night.
You mean knuckle push-ups.
or Jaden McDaniels.
Okay, I thought he was... That's how messed up Minnesota sports are. I thought he was talking about when Kevin Love punched a wall, and we all heard it was...
We have more than one wall.
And we heard it was knuckle push-ups, but the truth is he punched a door or whatever it was. Yeah. But he was referring to Jaden McDaniels. Yeah. I got my wall punches mixed up.
They're 20-5 in the Western Conference, 0-2 against walls.
Yeah, I love that Kevin Love story. I've told this, I've regaled this tale before, but I remember that when that news broke, I was working at the cigar shop I worked at, and a guy walked in and he looked up at the screen and he goes, "Oh, that's what they're going with?" And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "He lives across the hall from me. I heard him punch his door last night." I'm like, okay.
So doing knuckle push-ups were him standing up vertically and then punching a door.
Yeah.
So his knuckles technically were doing knuckle push-ups, but he was pushing his fist away from a door, not his body away from the floor.
Yep.
Knuckle push-ups. That's what we were told.
But
he got hurt doing knuckle push-ups.
Watching that game last night, and I don't know what has happened to Rudy Gobert. He has flipped some sort of switch where he erases the paint. It's old school basketball in there. And I said this to last night. All of us remember when they made that trade, people were calling it the worst trade of all time. Now it's still...
hang on, that's not true.
Well, no, I mean, sorry, like there
were a lot because to not do complete revisionist history, there are people like me who said that it feels like we overpaid for Rudy, but this team has sucked for 3 decades. We got to gamble.
Yes.
When it really bottomed out is when the season went sideways, right?
Yeah.
And it just didn't look like it was working. Rudy didn't look like the same player, and it's like, God dang it, this is a disaster.
I think locally there was more mixed feelings about it, but definitely nationally, the sentiment was that it was a terrible trade.
That we overpaid. Locally, because we understand where this franchise has been for 34 years.
You got to swing,
and we just wanted something.
Right,
correct.
And what all of us said about the gambling is, if the Wolves are very good or elite with this trade, then a lot of those first-round picks are at the back half of the first round, which is an absolute crapshoot in the NBA.
It's a 6th-round pick in the
If
NFL.
it works, then the trade gets better and better and better because those picks go later and later and later.
Right.
So I totally understand the downside of this trade could be disastrous, and it still might be.
Yeah, it still might be.
But we had to do something. What really pissed me off last year was Cat, even more so than Rudy. I'm like, this just ain't going to work with Cat. Let's get him out of here, get some of those first-round picks back, and start over with Ant. And now, all of a sudden, Conley says we're going to run it back, and everything seems to be working exactly how he thought it would work when we had everybody healthy and back together. And again, we've also had Jaden McDaniels out for about half the season.
Yeah, and he hasn't even
20-5.
Even when he's on the floor, he's been in foul trouble a lot of those games this year. So he hasn't really reached his potential yet this season either.
As Guardsy said last night when he was on with Barrero, obviously before the game, this team has that button. We see this all the time. We've watched this against so many Minnesota teams where it's like, well, these good teams find that gear that other teams don't have. They erased that 17-point that 17-point deficit. They came back and won on the road against, as you said, Corey, a full Heat squad. And Anthony Edwards down the stretch was dominant. That fadeaway that he put in to make it like 109, 10, whatever it was, incredible how good he is. And
you gotta put it in.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you gotta pull it out.
Yep.
Talk about it, brother.
Come on, Ant.
Yeah. He had a weird day yesterday. But the basketball player in Anthony Edwards.
That's what I was talking about.
Is sweet.
Yeah. I don't know. It's still the Wolves.
But they've basically already at this point, even before Christmas, secured a Christmas spot, a playoff spot. I mean, unless the completely bottoms out. I think I saw a stat yesterday that said even if they played 50-50 ball for the rest of the season, they're almost guaranteed a playoff spot. So they're going dancing. They just and with that defense, man, they can go as far as they want to go. And nobody, much like the NFL this year, the NBA is wide open. Nobody looks unbeatable, whether it be the Celtics or the Timberwolves. Nobody looks unbeatable.
There was a time in this team's franchise, a lot of times, where we would be pissed with 20 wins.
Yeah.
Because you'd go, what are you doing? Stop winning games. That's how bad they are. They have 20 wins before Christmas.
Oh, wasn't it Dwayne Casey got fired when the Wolves were 20-20, if I remember right?
Yep.
Yeah, there was a couple seasons they didn't even reach 20 wins.
A lot of them.
Well, the Cat season, and they win 14 or 15.
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, look, when the Wolves made their one deep run to the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers, then we had Cassell get hurt. The whole thing started falling apart. Maybe that's what we need this year. We're not openly cheering for injuries, but maybe if the Wolves are just the healthiest team, that's how we get all the way to the line. Just have other teams get hurt. For the first time in our existence, we stay healthy. They suffer significant injuries at the worst possible times.
That would be really nice. And that's what it comes down to sometimes, especially in the NBA playoffs, man.
Let's go.
We'd play the Lakers if the playoffs started today and they won their play-in game. Otherwise, we'd play the Rockets, which, oh my God, please, barbecue chicken.
If we run into Anthony Davis in the in-season tournament, we're in huge trouble. But if we run into the Lakers at any other point, I like the Wolves over the Lakers.
100%.
We're a deeper, better team. LeBron's
good,
90. AD plays like every third game. We can do this.
And even when AD plays, you don't know. It's a mixed bag. It's a crapshoot with how he's going to perform, man.
They're 11-1 at home.
Who, the Wolves?
Yeah.
It's incredible, man. And they play the 76ers again, who, if I remember correctly, they walloped a couple weeks ago.
Without Embiid, though.
Well, yeah, that is true. So it'll be a whole different kind of game because that team is really good, man.
Yeah, can't wait to hear Marnie's take on this squad when she gets here at 7. But Johnny Bone should be here in a second. Rosie later, Marnie later. This is the Power Trip Morning Show on the Fan.
The Fan. A heart radio station.
Hey, Rosie, your phone's ringing.
This actually was my very first ringtone that I ever had.
Really?
Yeah,
what age?
I was like 12? 10, 11, 12. Yeah,
I've got
something like
hoes
that.
in different area
This
codes.
song wails.
I didn't even have hoes in the 651.
I was going to say, what did you bike to the other area codes?
No, I still had Harry Potter glasses and a crooked eye back then.
Hey, it's the Abominable Hole Man.
Wait a minute, you had a crooked eye?
Yeah, I used to wear Harry Potter like circular glasses for most of my life, and every time I took them out, my left eye would be crooked. So anytime I went to the water park and trying to hit on girls, I'm like, ooh. I didn't know which one I was looking at.
Right. Well, man, you know what? It worked out for you, though.
I think it did.
Everything worked out.
Set you up well for the menage a trois.
Right, yeah. Had a threesome before I even knew it.
Hi, John Bonus.
Hi, kids.
Haven't seen you since Las Vegas, Nevada.
I know. When heads up on the Wolves odds might have been nice while we were in Vegas. I've only spent, 6 hours with you guys. You could have probably just given me a heads up that I should probably throw some money down on the Wolves.
I mean, if you believe.
Yeah. Two things about that. One bad and one good. The bad one is this. I remember this as an annual discussion between, 2003 and 2008. Every December, the topic was, are the Wolves getting enough respect? They're in first place in the Western Conference. Is basically them and the Spurs and blah, blah, blah. And because they had never done anything in the playoffs, they'd never escaped the first round up until the Sam Cassell year, right? The Minnesota sports fans just wanted somebody to they wanted to talk themselves, basically, into the Wolves being a championship contender. And I mean, this was every December. This was KFAN. I'm sure you remember that, Cory. Like every December,
you
this
are
was
overestimating my memory.
Right.
I don't remember what we talked about last segment.
Every December, the topic was, "Hey, this team's better than the rest of the NBA thinks." All right, you gotta do it late in the season.
Right.
They've got to stay healthy, as you pointed out. Right?
And Sauce jokes aside about if you flip on ESPN and they're talking about the Cowboys and the Jets and the Lakers, and he's right. He's not wrong.
Right.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, at that time it was the Spurs.
Right. And he's not wrong. But for the people that are going like, why don't they ever talk about the Timberwolves? You just said it. What that always means is somebody that has an opinion, like the Wolves are one of the 4 best teams. They just want to hear somebody on TV say exactly what they think.
They want to.
They want to be told, right? They want that echo chamber of, see, that guy thinks what I think.
Right, yeah.
So
maybe. I think it's that they also want the validation.
Yeah, correct.
They want themselves to believe. Like, they themselves don't truly believe it matters because they know deep down it doesn't matter, and it's not going to matter until April or May.
But look at last year. You could even argue the Nuggets flew under the radar.
Well, that's true.
Almost the entire season. It's like,
right.
The Joker's good. He's an MVP.
But that'll fade.
But that's going to fade.
Yeah.
They're not going to win the whole thing.
The Wolves
and
were
they
actually
just trucked
excited.
everybody.
We were excited the Wolves got to play them in the first round of the playoffs.
And then they said that we gave them a good fight and this and that. My point is let's go Nuggets on it and just fly under the radar, keep putting up a giant record, finish as a top 2 or 3 seed in the West, if not number 1, and then just do what the Nuggets did and just quietly win the whole goddamn thing.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
To your point, Corey, sorry, bonus. Lead NBA analysts on ESPN were saying that they've never personally watched Nuggets games before their run last year, just to prove that point further.
That's perfect. Okay, so that's the bad. The more optimistic view would be this. It's been, 32 years since any of the 4 major professional male sports won a championship in Minnesota. That's maybe the longest streak in America right now, right? How amazing would it be? How weird would it be if that streak ended because of the Wolves?
That would be incredible.
All the success the Vikings have had.
Yeah. It would be the least
years
likely
the Wild have made the playoffs. All the the Twins finally making some noise in the postseason. And it would be the team that has just been absolutely brutal and disappointed and a safe bet on the under for 20 years.
Well, one of the worst franchises in the history of North American sports is the Minnesota Timberwolves.
You are correct.
Yeah, that would be the most Minnesota way to end a sports championship drought ever.
Out of the 4, if we throw the Twins back in the mix, right? Not just the other 3 that haven't won since 91.
Right.
I think you could argue the Wolves are the least, not currently, but up until this year, the least likely of the 4.
Of course,
yes, right.
Yeah,
because of the way that the NBA works. But now that Ant is ascending to a top 10 kind of a level, you have to have a player in that category, or you just can't do it. Right? You can't be the Pistons from what was that at 05 or 6 or whatever with Billups and Hamilton and Wallace and whatever. That's hard to have 3 or 4 solid all-stars on a team. And get there, you got to have a superstar. And the Wolves have a superstar. They might have the defensive player of the year. They have another budding superstar in Jaden McDaniels. They have Cat.
Well, and the thing with Cat, though, that we've seen, and Guardsy tweeted this last night, and I'm just stealing his take. It's tough to find somebody like Cat who is willing to take a back seat. Now, I don't know any of the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not convinced he's thrilled about taking a back seat.
But, they are a great tandem. They play well together. Rudy doesn't score all the time, and Cat facilitates a lot. They let Ant take the last shot last night. Ant took over in the 4th quarter. You can't, you have James Harden on this team he immediately wants out, right? You just, so far so good, man. Through 25 games, I'd give it an A+.
I think Cat even said something like to the effect the other day that he used to be the sun and now he's just one of the planets, which just proves that he's. And if anything, last year we didn't get to see a full sample size because Cat got hurt, but Cat was the one that conceded his game the most to accommodate Rudy Gobert, and still does. Him and Rudy's connection is fantastic. So, and Cat's just really, like I said before, the Wolves would be good without Cat, but he raises this team's floor and this team's ceiling so much. Especially offensively, there's been long stretches of games this season where it's just Cat scoring or it's just Cat and Ant scoring. They still really need a guy like Cat offensively, and the way that he stretches the floor and creates space for everybody else to operate. He really adds a lot to this team. And his defense, this has been his best defensive year of his career, easily.
When he came into the league, part of the appeal of him, besides all the obvious skills and such, was he's supposed to be sort of a mature, unselfish player, right? That was part of he was supposed to be the Duncan. The Duncan mindset, kind of just sort of the quiet, mature, unselfish player that, you can build a team around. And I think a lot of that got lost in the histrionics around the fouls. The tantrums he would throw around, the injustice of him getting foul calls.
I think a lot of people soured on him just because of his antics, not necessarily because of his play, especially because he wasn't really even playing last year.
But I think what we're seeing now is, what we thought he was going to be, plus, the maturity of being in the league. 7 years, 8 years now? He just seems to get it. He seems to get sort of what his role needs to be. He doesn't have Jimmy Butler climbing on him anymore or trying to stomp him down anymore.
Great song.
So it's
so
really
you
fun to
didn't
watch.
bet on him in Vegas?
I did not.
Did you bet on anything long term? Did you put some money?
No, I did
on
not.
a future? Oh man,
no golf bets.
No tickets in your pocket.
No tickets in the pocket. That was bad driving by me. Yeah, I did pretty well on the sports bets too.
So we were in Vegas for 5.5 days, and all of us said that last day and a half. No, the Vikes game didn't help, but the last day and a half felt like an eternity. Mm-hmm. Right, 4 is the right amount. 5.5 was way too much. We wanted out of Las Vegas.
That has been our motto for years. 4 days, 3 nights is not quite enough.
Yep.
5 days, 4 nights is way too much.
Yeah.
Way too much.
And we were there 7 days and 6 nights.
Jeez. Ooh. How was that?
The truth is, I kind of scared myself because it was good.
Oh, man.
I do not want to be somebody who spends way too much time in Vegas. Partly because it was like three separate trips, right? Like the first 3 days were a power trip to Vegas trip, right? The next 3 days were my brother in Vegas trip. We went to U2. We did the Vikings game, hung out and stuff. And then the last one was like 2 nights, 1 day basically in Vegas with Chrissy.
Got it.
So it was nice.
So you didn't see her for like 6 days before that. You ditched her. Front Page Sports is next. John Bonus is here. This is the Power Trip Morning Show on the Fan.
And you follow to your sense of which direction completely disappears.
The Fan. The Fan.
The Power Hour starts at 8 a.m. and you can stream it live at KFAN.com/watch, powered by Quantum Fiber.
Time now for Front Page Sports, presented by Holiday Station Stores.
Yeah, Holiday Station Stores. Fantastic, right? They got those cinnamon roll sandwiches, cinnamon roll sandwiches.
Hell yeah.
Try one today. They have sausage, bacon, cheese, and then a cinnamon roll on the outside. Change up your breakfast a little bit. Go to Holiday. Try one today only at Holiday Station Stores. Hi, John Bonus.
Hi, kids.
As Bonus would say, giddy up.
Giddy up, right? Cinnamon roll sandwiches.
My goodness.
We talked about the weekend later, but let's go to the other side of the old river and go to St. Paul. In Pittsburgh, the Minnesota Wild were taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins of Anaheim. Good news, bad news here too, Johnny Bonus, because the Wild were down 3-rip.
Yeah, early.
And came storming back. 2 goals in the second period, one by Hartman, one by Middleton. That made it 3-2 Pittsburgh. And then Vinny Lettieri scored 5.5 minutes into the third to tie it at 3. So they come all the way back from 3 down to tie it. And then less than a minute later, Sid the Kid scores his 18th goal of the year. And that was it. The Penguins beat the Wild 4-3. Little surprised they didn't give the start to Marc-Andre Fleury and let him face his former squad, especially since you're at Boston tonight, so you got a back-to-back.
Right.
But the Wild had been hot with Gus, so they rolled with Gus. My guess is Fleury starts tonight, but I don't know why you didn't do it the opposite way and let Fleury start against his former squad and Gus start against the Boston Bruins. But whatever, what do I know? I don't know what I'm talking about.
You know a lot.
I don't know much about the hocky squad, though. So anyway, that's what happened.
In general, they looked like they were kind of getting outplayed most of the game. The 2 goals that they got late in the second quarter were, nice to kind of to make it a game again. But ultimately, I think they were taking too many penalties. I think they went 0-for-3 on their shot at the power play. So
again, at Boston tonight, 6 o'clock. The Seahawks beat the Eagles 20-17 last night. Drew Lock hit Jackson Smith and Jigba with 28 seconds to go for the game winner. Perfect throw.
Yeah, it was a dime.
Great catch by JSN, as everybody's calling him. The Eagles have dropped 3 straight games. Jalen Hurts, who we were told was sick the last couple of days, didn't play great. 143 yards in the air, a couple of interceptions. He did have 2 rushing touchdowns, but that is their 3rd straight loss. The Eagles now are 10-4. The Seahawks are 7-7. According to ESPN's analytics, John Bonus, the Niners now an 88% chance of securing the number one spot.
If you were in the Bonus
NFC
household last night about 10:30, you'd have heard some expletives being hurled, similar to 3:30 on Saturday afternoon if you're at the saloon downtown Minneapolis, you'd have heard some expletives being hurled at the screen. It was similar to the Vikings, I think, a little bit in that kind of felt like they were the better team most of the game.
Yeah.
And then they left the door open, and you got a 4-point lead, and suddenly the other team has to go 92 yards with 1:52 left,
and a backup.
And a backup, but they're going for it on every fourth down. Like you're going to have to stop them. And there were also like 2 or 3 different opportunities for a turnover in that last drive, like a couple different balls that were interceptions that were dropped. So the Eagles they slipped against 2 really good teams and one really tough place to play.
Yeah.
They lost to the 49ers, they lost to the Cowboys on the road, and they lost to Seattle on the road. I mean, those are tough games to win.
But go back, their 6-game stretch where they went 3-3.
Right.
Cowboys at Chiefs, Bills.
Right.
49ers, Cowboys, Seahawks.
And to be fair, some of those early games, were games that the Bills game, they looked like they were going to lose that one. Jalen Hurts pulled a rabbit out of a hat. Yep. The Chiefs game looked like they were going to lose that one.
Cowboys,
Jalen Hurts pulled it. Cowboys, they almost lost that goal line play. There's just not a dominant team in the NFC right now, except perhaps the 49ers.
Well, the Eagles have a turnover problem this season.
Well, Jalen does.
Yeah,
Jalen just throws it up.
Yeah, that last pass. I mean, they were damn near in field goal range, and then on that last drive with like 20 seconds to go, and then Jalen Hurts just threw the super question. I mean, that was a great play by the Seahawks cornerback. That was insane. But I mean, he has a problem with turnovers this season, and their offense over the last 3 weeks has just been anemic.
Don't worry, the league has rewarded the Eagles. They end the season 2 games against the Giants, and then they get to play the Cardinals.
Well, and that is also why that game was so critical to them. Because the Cowboys had lost earlier in the day, the Eagles went into that game with the number 1 seed in the maybe not the number 1 seed, but the number 1 seed in the NFC East.
Yeah.
Right? And I might have been. Did 49ers lose this week? No, I think the 49ers are still the number 1 team in the NFC.
49ers are the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're 11-3.
And I think they're still the number 1 seed.
Yes,
right?
they are.
But if they win that, they've got a chance of, despite the fact that the Cowboys beat them last week, they were going to be the number 1 team if they win that game. And they, like you mentioned, they've got kind of a cakewalk the last 3 weeks of the season.
Cardinals, Giants.
So they blew it.
Did you remember, Corey, the Cardinals bet you and I have?
Is it 4.5?
Yeah, and
they have to win 2 of their last 3.
Yeah.
They've been a little bit better with Kyler, but what a disaster.
Yeah, they play.
Little did I know, I was betting on Josh Dobbs. What he played 9 games there? 8 games there? I think maybe he was 1-7 with the Cardinals.
They finish at the Bears.
Winnable.
At the Eagles.
Not winnable.
And then against the Seahawks.
Yeah. What is it, $100 bet? What do we? Yeah. All right.
And the Seahawks, though, the problem that you might run into is the Seahawks at that last game will probably have something to play for. They might be playing for a playoff.
Cardinals are garbage.
Yeah, they're bad. Yeah.
The Quick Lane Bowl is sneaking up on all of us. I know some of you have it on your calendar.
What time will that be?
That's 1 o'clock on Tuesday. The Gophers and Bowling Green in the old Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit. Ford Field on DraftKings. The Gophers are 3.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 38.5. But everybody on the Gophers has either entered the transfer portal or declared for the NFL draft. So I have no idea who's playing for us, but I believe they are going to roll out at least 22 players Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
What was the spread again?
3.5. Gophers are 3.5-point favorites.
PJ Fleck has a really good record in bowl games.
He does.
You give him time to prep for something like that, he usually shows up.
I'll take Bowling Green.
I'll take the Gophers.
Yeah, I will too. Will you take it with both of us?
Sure.
How much you want?
$50.
50 apiece?
Yeah, sure. That's a deal.
All right, booked. Yep. I'm going to come up short. I saw the stat that I think I'm like 500 short of the record for the best power trip betting year ever. Mark Parrish has the record.
Okay.
Unless I can just sucker Sauce into a whole bunch of bets in the next week and a half, and I win almost all of them, I'm going to come up a little short.
Did you guys at all, and I know this is a weird thing I'm about to ask, but did any of you watch the famous Toastery Bowl yesterday?
I saw the comeback highlights.
That's the one that was during the day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old Dominion led 28-0.
Yeah.
And Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers, came back and won 38-35.
In overtime. I don't know what that is.
So the bowl season has really started?
Yeah.
I was wondering about that the other day.
What is famous Toastery?
No idea. We were trying. Barrero was talking about it yesterday.
What the hell is it?
Somebody who needs some branding work, so they bought a bowl game. That's who they are.
Right.
Well, how much? I mean, if we've never even heard of them, how much does it cost to get a bowl game?
It's a famous Toastery. Wait a minute.
That is a brilliant question, man.
Because, I mean, we should have a KFAN bowl.
Max needs his own bowl game.
Yeah, the Pro Bowl.
Bowling Green and the Gophers in the initialsgame.com bowl.
I think I've been to a famous Toastery.
Well, if it involves food, there's a very high likelihood you gave it a whirl.
I sense that's fast.
How is like Pornhub or Brazzers not gotten a bowl yet?
I don't think they can be.
Oh.
But it doesn't.
No one would publicly accept a bid.
No. Well, Rosie.
The Brazzers Bowl does have a nice ring to it,
does. The alliteration sounds nice.
Yeah, I've been to a famous Toastery.
Of course you have.
When I was in
probably
Charlotte.
worked there.
No.
Well, you did some work by shoveling food in there.
Okay. All right.
What really
Save
matters?
some for later.
What really matters is next is the Power 2 Morning Show on the Fan.
The Fan. Listening to KFAN.
Follow the Fan this football season on Twitter and Instagram, and you can win $100 in gas money thanks to your local Chevy dealers. One winner will be chosen every Friday, brought to you by your select Heartland Chevy dealers. Find new road.
All right, let's get into what really matters. I'm going to do scores and stats. Sauce, you're going to change John Bonus's life with something else.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, right on.
Okay, man.
The Atlanta Hawks won 130-124 over the Detroit Pistons. Why am I leading with that? Well, it's pretty gross if you're following the NBA. That is Detroit's 24th consecutive loss.
Oh, my God, man.
They are 2-25, and that is despite former number 1 overall pick Cade Cunningham having 43 points. He scored 43 in the loss. That is the longest streak, I believe, in Detroit Pistons basketball history. However, just 2 losses away from the longest losing streak within one season. The record is 26. The overall record for the longest losing streak, if you can go across a couple of seasons, is 28. So they're only 4 away from that one. Next 4 games for the Detroit Pistons. Hosting Utah, and Utah's pretty bad. I mean, not as bad as Detroit, but Utah's pretty bad.
Right.
Then a home and home against Brooklyn.
Maybe that's what happened last night. They're looking ahead.
Yeah, they're looking ahead to Utah. So then a home and home against Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And they're about a 500 team. They might be exactly 500. Yeah. And then the record tire, the 28th consecutive loss, if they lose Utah, Brooklyn, at the Celtics.
Oh boy, man. Yeah, that'll do it.
And then the record would be hosting the Toronto Raptors. So if they lose those 5, it's the longest losing streak in the history of the NBA.
Bono is the record.
But again, if they lose 2 more, they tie the record for the longest streak within one season.
And Cade Cunningham last night had 43.
Just said that, but that's okay.
He's actually really good. They have a talented team. They just can't put it together. You
got to think it's pretty uncommon that you win both games of a back-to-back. Yeah. Or lose both games of a back-to-back.
Yeah.
You're the Pistons.
If you're the Pistons, you're going to find a way to lose.
A lot of things is uncommon about that.
This is when I find out that losses 8 and 9 were back-to-back.
They're so bad. I saw on the Pistons Reddit page, people were posting screenshots from it. People were contemplating having someone assassinate 5 members of the Pistons because there's supposedly a disaster draft. They would have to draft a whole contingent of new players in case 5 or more players die on a team. So people were saying, what if we just kill 5 members of
NBA clause that's a disaster draft?
Supposedly, that's a thing. If 5 or more players die or become there was some specific language. I think it said mangled or
so it's like plane crash,
or something.
Bus crash, something like that. Then we have to. Well, see, that's what's going to happen to the Wolves.
Don't say that.
The Pistons are going to die in a bus crash. They're going to draft Ant, and we're screwed. God dang it. Man, we need safer buses in this country. God, now I'm pissed.
I can tell.
Although that might be a way for Ant to get away from this kid.
Yeah,
Just
maybe.
disappear to Detroit. They'll never find him there.
He's going to call in the hit on the Pistons himself.
What really matters, though, is this.
The original name for Google was...
I know I've heard this before. The company's name is Alphabet, but the site before Google was called... as soon as I know, maybe
what are the owners'
based
names?
on the founders.
What are the names? One of them.
Yeah, I'm blanking on their names too.
It's not Ask Jeeves, right? That was Yahoo.
No. It wasn't a common. It wasn't one of the early quote unquote search engines.
Isn't Larry something?
Page. It's something Page. PageRank.
It's Backrub.
Backrub.
Right.
We were close.
It was renamed Google after the Google, which is the number 1 followed by 100 zeros.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It'd be a lot cooler if it was called Backrub, though.
Yeah, man. Rosie go to it a lot more.
I don't believe you Backrub that.
Yeah, Backrub that.
PageRank is the algorithm used by the Google search to rank apps. It was created by
Nerd! Yeah. Do you know who I am? Check your Backrub, man.
Go to Backrub, man. You should Backrub those nudes.
LSU's Jaden Daniels is going to enter the NFL draft. He's also going to skip his bowl game because why wouldn't he?
Right.
He is your Heisman Trophy winner. LSU takes on Wisconsin January 1st without Jaden Daniels. Advantage Scotties. That is the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa.
Come on.
Am I making that up? Or is that real? Sauce? Did I just make up a name of a company, or is that real?
I think that's real.
That is real.
Yeah.
I was going to guess made up.
According to Mel Kiper Jr., he has Jaden Daniels as the 3rd best quarterback prospect behind Caleb Williams and Drake May, and number 4 overall on his big board. Jaden Daniels.
He's legit, man.
He's good, man.
He's a one-man show with that LSU team.
He's so good.
But what really matters is this.
What is the only mammal that can actually fly?
Like naturally? I mean, humans technically.
Bat?
Is a bat? Yeah, I was going to say, is bat considered a mammal or not? That's it.
Oh, okay, you guys are correct. Bats are the only mammal that can fly.
Interesting.
They're blind as hell.
So far. Give us a couple million years.
Right.
Patience. God, you're so impatient.
What I do?
Wait for some of the rest of us to start flying. It's not just bats if you fast forward.
Sorry, I backrubbed random facts.
God, I'm pissed about the Pistons dying and stealing Ant. I'm pissed about you not waiting for mammals to fly.
Did you know,
oh, man.
Cade Cunningham had 43 points?
Yeah, I just said that. The Vikings host Detroit Sunday at noon right here on the Fan. The Vikings are 7-7 after a handful of disastrous losses in the last month. The Lions are 10-4, and if Detroit wins, they do lock up the division, which is not something Detroit says very often. No. I believe they've never won the NFC North, right? I think their last division title was the NFC Central.
I think you are correct.
Really?
Yeah. In the 90s, yeah.
My God.
With Barry Sanders, right? In something like 93 or something?
Yep.
So I believe they've never won the NFC North. But they do lock it up if they win on Sunday. And on DraftKings, the Lions are 3-point favorites, and the over-under is 47.
And on StubHub, the tickets are not that expensive.
I definitely like the Lions on Sunday to win.
I would take the Lions as well.
That sucks to be into. As soon as the Lions start being good, then the Pistons lose like 20 in a row.
As soon as the Vikings are out, I will be cheering for the Lions.
Well, this is similar to the Wolves, right?
Yeah.
Like, if Detroit is going to end its streak of bad championship, of never having a championship, of all the teams to do it, it would be the Lions.
Well said.
That's
Right?
very true. Right.
The Red Wings. It feels like the Red Wings won 7 in the 90s, but they didn't.
Right.
But it felt like they won every
Pistons have
year
been
with
good,
that team.
right?
I think the
Fedorov
Red
and
Wings,
Yzerman and Lidstrom.
the Red Wings have the most Stanley Cup wins for an American team, I believe, outside of like Canadian teams.
How many? Did they get any in the 90s? They got a couple, didn't they, with that squad? That's how bad my memory is with the NHL. Did they win a
thousand? Didn't they win in the mid 2000s as well?
They have won, 96, 97, the 97-98 season,
And then 2001, 2002, and 2007, 2008. So really,
all right, but specifically in the 90s when they were unstoppable on video games.
Unstoppable.
There were a lot of us that said you can't be the Red Wings. That's not fair.
It's the Rams in the early 2000s on Madden. You can't be the Rams.
Or it's the Warriors with Kevin Durant in 2K. It's like, come on, bro. What are you doing?
Yeah, don't be that team. Yeah, man.
Right. Yzerman and Fedorov were just not fair. It wasn't
not
fair. It's cheating. Yeah. What really matters is this.
Will you please do me a favor, Corliss, and get your favorite button ready?
There's so many buttons I love, but I have to assume that you're talking about this one. Go ahead.
The heart of the blue whale, the largest animal on Earth, is 5 feet long and weighs 400 pounds.
That's a huge bitch.
The whale in total weighs 40,000 pounds.
That's a huge bitch.
Largest animal that has ever existed on Earth.
You ever seen one? Are they uncommon to see? Sorry.
And I've seen you shower.
Are they uncommon to see, though?
I don't think they're easy to see, but I'm sure there are whale watching tours, but my guess is they're not easy to find. Which is bizarre because they're huge.
Yeah, they're massive.
Yeah, no, that would be super cool to see one. It's weird that I have a great white shark on my bucket list, but I should want to see a blue whale.
Yeah, man.
Right, I'm the guy that's screaming, going, please bring back a woolly mammoth. I want to see one.
Yeah.
When the largest animal that's ever... It's still happening. Just, again, patience.
I don't have any.
The largest animal that's ever existed in the history of Earth is the blue whale. And none of us really seem to care. I thought you were going to go with the thing. Isn't it true that like humans can walk through? What is it? I think it's walk through the heart of the blue whale. Haven't we done that?
Yeah.
And what really matters is
Wow.
that we can we're big enough, or that it's big enough where we can walk through it.
Yeah.
Your hand's still up.
When we come back, we have a NFL quarterback change.
Oh.
Going back to Dobbs.
What?
Oh, man. Can you imagine? All right, that's next. Then Marnie Gellner joins in about 25 minutes. Rosie in about an hour. This is the Power Trip Morning Show on the Fan.
The Fan.